On the Senate side, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts is calling on the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell that he should bring the Senate back to session as well for similar action like what they're doing in the House. She and several of her Democratic colleagues wrote today to the Board of Governors that oversees the post office, calling on them to reverse the changes that Trump's Postmaster General has put in place. They're also saying that if he doesn't cooperate with them, that board should fire him. They should use their power of overseeing the Postal Service to remove him from office. We have all covered politics and elections for a long time now. I have never covered an election scandal like this one. It's almost unbelievable, but it's where we are. Joining us now is Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren, we really thank you for making time to be with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's good to be here. We are conventioning, right? Just remotely.
We're all actually, this is kind of as intimate as it's going to get over the course of the night. Let me ask you, in terms of, we've been talking about our own experience, our own anecdotal experience in terms of how upset people are about these post office changes. Let me ask if you have anything to add to what I just summed up there, or to what you and your colleagues are trying to do about it.
You know, so let's start, because I think Joy really put this in the right place, when she started with the emotional impact of reducing mail service and what that feels like to people, particularly seniors who are already isolated and who count on the mail. You all talked about for cards and for correspondence, but also to get their prescriptions and to get pension checks and to stay in touch, and quite frankly, often just to see the letter carrier every day who kind of checks in on people. This is an important part of our postal service, and it matters when someone comes in and says, for crass political reasons, we're going to shut down mail delivery, make it tougher, make it slower for everybody in this country, no matter how much you need it. We're going to do that because it just might put a thumb on the scale to help Donald Trump. That is just deeply shocking in our democracy. So I think it's time for action on this one.
In terms of the recourse here, can the Board of Governors that oversees the Postal Service just take out DeJoy? Can they take out the Postmaster General from his position if they decide that he is abusing his post?
Yes, ma'am, they can. They can also roll back all of the changes that he has made. This is why we have a Board of Governors there. And so we need the Board of Governors to come in and just say, you know, all those mailboxes they took out and the sorting machines they took out and the no overtime policies, all that, we're done. We're going back to the way it was when the post office was working. Remember the good old days a few weeks ago? And so they can put those back in place and just hold it there until after the election. Also, we just need to get rid of Louis DeJoy. You know, he's the guy who's helping Donald Trump. That's what he's there for. He's a big donor. He's there for political reasons. He has personal conflict of interest. He has businesses with the post office. He's invested in competitors to the post office. And I want to say on that one, I was pushing on this. And last week, the Inspector General of the post office said that he would open an investigation into this to examine the conflicts of interest that this guy's got. But we need him out of there. We also need to fully fund postal operations. We need to provide funding for safe and secure elections. The House has already passed the bill to do this. Mitch McConnell needs to cut short his vacation, bring the Senate back in, and let us vote to do it. And by the way, while we're at it, Mitch McConnell needs to call the Senate back in, come to the table, negotiate with Democrats so that we can get Americans who are suffering under the twin catastrophes of this pandemic and this economic collapse, so we can get them the assistance they need. That's how we should start.
Yeah. And if I could ask you just, Senator, and thank you so much for being here. You know, I can remember having conversations with the late Congressman Elijah Cummings, who was all about this issue. And every time I would see him, he'd say, you know, the post office, talk about the post office, because you know, Republicans have relatives too that get mail. They get mail too. So you wonder why they would participate in this. Is it unfair for me to suspect that the reason Mitch McConnell and other Republicans are ignoring something that's hurting their own families, their own neighbors, is because DeJoy is actually doing exactly what they want to. Because there's been a desire to privatize the Postal Service, to make it become a for-profit thing that somebody like, I don't know, Louis DeJoy could own, and he's set up for it. I worry about that kind of corruption, that maybe Republicans are looking the other way because they want it to die.
So, Joy, I think you're right. I mean, look, we know this has been an issue for a long time, that the Republicans want to privatize the post office. This has gone back years, but I'll be blunt. I think they wanted to do it a little more quietly than this. This, to me, this urgent, immediate, removing mailboxes, knocking out the sorters, cutting out the overtime, leaving mail unopened to be delivered the next day or who knows when, all of this and doing it so suddenly, I think this one is strictly about the politics of it and Donald Trump thinking that if he can keep Americans from voting by mail, then he's going to win. And the reason I believe that is Donald Trump told us that. You know, this is not like I have to read the tea leaves on this. He told us why he's doing it. He's doing it because if everybody votes by mail, he believes Democrats win. You know, that's how democracy is supposed to work. If everybody votes, then the person that most of the people want to see win in the country actually win. That's democracy 101, and that is clearly what Donald Trump does not want to see happen on November 3rd.
Senator Warren, I have two questions for you. One, you have 77 days, and Mitch McConnell wasn't interested in hearing from John Bolton during impeachment when the public support was around 65% for hearing witnesses. How do you get them to do anything, let alone in the 77 days you have? And just real quick, do you support the effort by Congressman Lieu and Congressman Jeffries to ask the FBI to open a criminal investigation?
Oh, listen, I think we got to be moving on all fronts, and I applaud them for the work they're doing. But the 77 days, you actually put your finger right on the issue. Last January, elections may have looked a long way off when the Senate Republicans said, nah, we don't really need any witnesses in an impeachment trial. They were counting on the fact that Americans wouldn't have a very long memory and a whole bunch of stuff would happen in the meantime. Now, I very much hope they're wrong. And my own view on this is we need to hold every Republican in the Senate, every single one of them, responsible for everything that Donald Trump has done, because they were the ones who signed off on an impeachment with no witnesses and said Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong. But now we're 77 days out. And the pressure is mounting. The pressure is being felt not just from Democrats, but from Republicans as well. Look, you want to get something done in Washington? I always think of it this way. There are two parts to it. There's the inside part. You got to talk to people and chew with them on it and work on the exact language. But there's the outside part. And this one is the outside part, the public pressure. Why do you think DeJoy is coming in to testify next week? He's not coming in to testify because he wants to. He's coming in because the pressure is enormous. And he's hoping maybe, you know, like with a pressure cooker, he can release just a little bit of that pressure. Frankly, I don't think that's going to happen. I think people are going to watch him testify, and I think the pressure is going to go up even more intensely. So that's why I'm here tonight saying, Mitch McConnell, call the Senate back in. We want to pass the bill to make sure that the post office is operating and that they have the money they need so we can do vote by mail.
Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, it's a great pleasure to have you here tonight at the start of the DNC. Thanks for helping us understand what's going on in this super red hot issue. Really appreciate you being here.
You bet. It's great to see all of you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.